Well, Jennifer, we are so close to being finished with the Bold Beginnings series.
Yay!
We are going to record today. What we have left is journaling,
Mm.
and then we have supplies like technology, durable medical stuff, which I thought was a great idea, talking about how to people actually get these things, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about insurance, and then we're going to talk about carb guidelines and food impacts. So we only have 4 topics left.
Yay!
Yeah, I feel like we've accomplished something.
We have.
How many months have we been at this, do you think?
I don't even know. Honestly, all of my months, they run together, and I have probably 3. I feel like we started like summer-ish, right?
I'm going to look because I'm actually interested. I'll figure it out while we're talking.
Cool.
Okay. So, can I just admit something right here?
Sure.
The list has been in front of me for quite some time, and journaling has been at the bottom. And the entire time I thought, well, people want to talk about writing their feelings down. Then I thought, okay, if that's what everybody said, we'll do it. And then, of course, today I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's not what they're talking about at all.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, and when you said the name of it, I was like, journaling. What kind of journaling? I journal, and it doesn't really reflect on diabetes, but sometimes it does when I'm journaling about that, but that's not in my journal.
No,
Like,
I swear to you,
Yeah.
I was so disappointed with myself when I started reading. I was like, oh, they're talking about tracking food and doing a food journal and a carb journal and a bolus journal, journaling diabetes stuff. And I thought,
Yes.
it never occurred to me because, I don't do that. But
There you go.
But I do see people's comments tell me that for, I think, certain brains, right? This is probably incredibly important. So the first comment I have here is, I counted carbs and tracked in a food journal like crazy for almost a year. I would record everything my son ate and what happened to his blood sugar afterwards. This was kind of helpful to distinguish patterns. It was very stressful when things were not working correctly. But, oh, here we go. I would never food journal again if I knew better.
And I don't say, as if like, well, gosh, why not? It's just sort of like, I think everybody, again, you said personality. I think there are some people who can collectively see something happening, they take it in, and it gets filed in that place that they know they can pull it out and use it, and they don't have to write it down. However, there are people, in terms of like kind of learner, along with personality, there are some people, their learning style is they get it once they've written it down.
Mm-hmm.
If it's written a couple of times, it's then in that place in their brain that they can draw from, and they probably don't have to write it down anymore. Right?
Yeah, I wonder if the message after we get through this is going to be that if this is how your brain works, this is probably amazing. And if it's not, it might feel like torture.
And I think the other piece to it too is people who have a little bit more consistency in what they do probably would benefit from this, regardless of personality or learning style. They're the person or the family that could get a lot out of, we have soccer every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We always eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, and then dinner is these different meals, but there are like 5 of them. Great. Journal it, figure it out. You will see patterns.
Yeah.
I guarantee. But the person who has a very random schedule, and I bring up nurses sometimes because the nurses that I've worked with often have variable scheduling. They might work overnight, and then they might be off for 2 days, and then they might work 3 shifts in a row, different times of day, and then they might be off for another 2 or 3 days in a row. While you might get something out of food evaluation, you may not get much out of time of day evaluation because there's so much that's variable day to day for them.
Yeah.
So I think, you kind of have to pick and choose. What are you also trying to figure out? Journaling the 1,000 things that might happen in your day you're going to get overwhelmed with
Yeah, you're
that.
not a computer, right? Like
No.
you can't write down so much data that you can't compile it and make sense of it. But so
Right.
what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. If you have a more repetitive life, you'll probably more quickly be able to see the patterns.
Right.
And if you have an incredibly variable life, what you might end up with is a lot of numbers and lines and dashes that you can't make sense of.
Correct.
Interesting.
And sometimes because it's your own data, you sort of get lost in it, right? Sometimes it helps to have an unbiased look, which means then that hopefully you have a good care team that you can go to and send data to for evaluation, saying, I don't see anything here. Can you please try to pick this apart? And, when I'm looking at someone's data, sometimes I say, I don't know. It looks like there are a lot of variables in the picture. So let's try this and this to start out with.
Well, I'll
Right.
tell you, it really important to bring up because, I mean, in full transparency, probably a half a dozen times a year, I send something to Jenny and say, I see this. Am I right?
Right.
Because I'm living it and watching it. You're too, right? It's micro macro. Like sometimes you get too close to it and you can't see the big picture anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I wanted to make this switch a couple days ago, and I said to Arden, hold on a second, I'm going to check with Jenny. And she goes, do you not know if you're right or not? And, which I don't think like filled her with a ton of confidence. And I was like, no, this is the right thing to do. But let's just tell somebody else first who thinks about it the same way so that
Right.
we don't start turning a bunch of knobs and get too far away from where we are because we're so close right now. And
Right.
she's like, whatever. And I was like, okay, by the way, just to digress for half a second, did you hear the episode that she did recently?
I think I got through 3/4 of it.
Did you get to the
Yes.
part where she wouldn't give you credit for the oat milk ice cream?
I didn't get to that part, although I have seen many comments about what's this ice cream that Jenny recommended. And I was like, it's tasty. I guess the biggest reason was when I recommended it for you guys was trying to find something that was comparable in taste that she wouldn't be like, oh my God, this crazy lady recommended something it's horrid.
Yeah.
It is totally not ice cream to me, right?
How long is the hair on Jenny's legs if she thought I was going to eat this?
Right, exactly. Yes.
But she just ended up really liking it. So I was like,
That's
yeah, I was
awesome.
like, hey, give her credit. She goes, I'm not involved in this thing you do. And I was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, you have to get to it. It's hilarious. Okay. So the next comment here is super interesting because it goes the other way. Getting a scale and a notebook was huge for our family, as well as staying as organized as possible was. We had a little makeup organizer set up on our counter in the kitchen with everything we needed. So it was very easy to reference then with the notebook right in front of them. We would write down all of our carbs and insulin doses, times, etc. And that really helped to make sure we didn't both accidentally give her something. Oh, that's interesting. A little redundancy too.
Mm-hmm.
And reference back to the book if something weird with her blood sugar happened that we could figure out better after seeing, what was going on with the insulin versus the food that she ate. Get a good scale to help with carb counting.
And that's there, in terms of the whole idea of journaling, therein lies, I think this person brings up a good fact that sometimes actual physical written journaling you can flip back to easier than the databases upon databases that allow you to do the same thing in an app. Because sometimes the apps become cumbersome to try to track through and page back and forth between one day note and then trying to find another days of note.
Yeah.
Where if you have it just written down, you can kind of easily page back and forth. I know a lot of people use like the Sugar Mate because partners or caregivers or whatever, you can see what every person is logging. And then you can see in the day and you don't really have to worry about that redundancy or, oh my goodness, did I give it? Did somebody else give it? What was done?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways to journal or I guess record diabetes, if you will, sort of like texting diabetes, but recording diabetes, if you will.
So when there are plenty of times throughout the weeks where my kids look at me funny because I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to go upstairs to my computer. And they're like, you can do it on your phone. And I don't want to. I don't like that. And they're like, you're old. And I'm like, you say whatever you want. Like I want it big. I want it in front of me. I want to be able to look at multiple things at the same time. I don't want to be flipping back and forth.
Right.
I take that point. Oh, wow. It's interesting. Yeah, I would be better with it. Interestingly enough, I'd be better with it where I could just reach back 3 pages and go, okay, Monday. That would be easier for me.
Absolutely. I mean, I did that and I'm very glad. And I recommend this to a lot of the women that I work with through pregnancies. I journaled my entire first pregnancy, the whole thing, all the foods, every day, day and time of change of insulin doses and everything that I noticed. It was enormously beneficial when I was pregnant with my second.
Okay.
Enormously beneficial because I could go back and say, well, this time of the first trimester, this is about what started happening. And then I didn't feel as crazy, right? With what I was noticing. I'm like, no, this is normal. I did do this last time, or I did see this last time, or I did stop doing this type of thing last time about this point.
So when something that's so out of the ordinary happens, even though it's happened to you in the past, it still feels very out of the ordinary. And it was helpful to go back and say, oh no, this happened the last time. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
right. Especially because there were a number of years between my kids. And so, memory lapses entirely. Right. So
that's nature's way of allowing you to get pregnant again, I think.
There you go, I guess. Yes. You don't remember all of the stuff you do, right? Let's do it again.
Yeah. If you remembered it, you'd be like, no, thank you. That's okay. One's enough. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Here's one from somebody that says, hold on a second while I mute my phone like I've never made a podcast before. Sorry about that. With everything overwhelmingly journaling saved my tired brain from remembering everything. Okay, so while everything was overwhelming, journaling saved my tired brain from remembering everything. I keep everything in there: food, bolus, timing, dosing, carb counts, questions to ask. Questions to ask in an appointment. They use this thing like a Bible then. Okay. Yeah,
and that is sense. Good in terms of connections with your care team, because if you do on a day have, gosh, I should ask about this. Is it a question that needs to be answered now? Then reach out now. If it's a question that you're going to bring this journal in a month or 2 months when you have your next visit, because they were just things you wanted to go over, but are really not as necessary to get an answer to right now, then you don't have to remember all your questions.
Yeah. My mom just moved from the East Coast to where Jenny is, not to live with Jenny, but to live with my brother. No. Not that my brother lives with Jenny, but they're in the same state. Anyway, and my brother's been a little overwhelmed. And we had a conversation yesterday where I said, listen, you've been lucky this far. You haven't dealt with a lot of health issues. And he's like, well, there's phone calls and I'm talking to doctors and they don't do anything you want them to, you have to ask 3 times. I was like, yeah. I was like, that's how this is. So I said, look, make a list. And I said, because if you think you're just going to walk in that doctor's office and remember to say everything that you need to say, it's not going to work like that. I said, you have to have a list in front of you. It's interesting how, the one thing I'm realizing as I'm listening to people and talking about how they're journaling and listening to you talk about it is that I would have benefited from it. It's just that my brain doesn't, excuse me, I don't know how to say this actually, but my printing, my penmanship is horrendous. Like, I don't mean not, worthy of being hung up somewhere. I mean, I write things down and then I don't know what they say. Them. Yeah. I have things written in front of me from yesterday. I don't know what they say anymore. And
so it's kind of like Dr. Chicken Scratch, really.
It's like something, I'll tell you, because and I wonder how much of that thwarted me from ever trying it, because I have written things down before and I'm like, well, this is useless. I don't know what this says. I've tried slowing down and writing slower. It doesn't, like, I can't do it. Like the first 3 letters and then I get bored. I'm like, come on, let's get this out. And I can't get back to it. So, okay.
And had you had, Arden was diagnosed long enough ago that there really weren't the tracking tools that we have now,
right,
where it takes your handwriting out of the picture. It does allow you to keep it all in an app or someplace that you can actually read what you wrote down.
Well, that is why I like being at a computer, because I can go back and actually see it. Also, you make a good point that my book back then might have said, woke up, screamed into pillow, cried.
Yes. Yes.
Chased Arden around room with needle, went another room, screamed in pillow.
Yes,
I don't know how helpful that would have been
exactly.
exactly. I guess the tools and the data coming back really is more modern day.
It is definitely. I mean, even the ability to download, a pump or a simple glucose meter, or have the CGM data drive right into a database that you can look at online, or that you can get notifications. Hey, Clarity tells me that I did this much better this week compared to last week, right? I mean, that kind of information just it wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
I use that data, like in Clarity, for example, when I'm retuning Arden's blood sugars for something, I move everything to one day. I want to see just what happened today. Where was our average? What was our range today? And then as those numbers come to where I want them to be, then I open it back up and see, am I keeping it for a week? I am.
Yep.
Am I keeping it for a month? Good. And then I kind of build off of it that way.
Yep. Those overlays or comparison reports, especially just, talking about like a CGM from a one point of view. Like you said, when you make a change and you're wondering if it's made enough of a difference, I always start with just compare a 7-day. You made a change on this day, look 7 days out, do things look better compared to the previous 7 days before you made the change, and see. So you can definitely tell whether or not more stuff needs to be adjusted.
I cheat a little bit too. Like I'll look at 7 days and just pick a number. We'll say like, I don't know, variability is at 28%. And I'm like, okay, over the last 7 days, that's great. Then I expand it to 14 days and I don't even go back and look. If the number goes up, then I go, okay, well, the week before it wasn't as good. And if the number stays still or goes down, I go, okay, now I have some consistency over 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. The last person just says, please get a good scale to help with carb counting. I don't know how to comment on that because, I mean, that's a bridge too far for me, but I see the value.
There is value. And I think, again, I still use a food scale, but more specific to foods that they never have a label. They're real foods like butternut squash or acorn squash or apples and kind of, those summer into fall kind of vegetables and fruits, or anything that you might get from the grocery store any time of the year that just does not come with a label. You can get a lot from using a food scale and, a carb factor. And many food scales now, if you get a smart one, actually come with the carb factor already in them.
Cool.
And all you do is put the piece of food on the scale, put the code in, and it gives you the amount of carb in that portion that you're going to eat.
Oh, so you put it on, like you cut up apples as an example. I throw it on there. I tell the thing, this is apples. It already knows what the carb factor is for me personally, tells me.
For that food particular. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like one in particular is eatsmartproducts.com is the website. It's a great food scale. You want to look for the nutritional kitchen scale. It's like a square, like clear glass shape, but it comes with a catalog of about 1,000 foods that each have a code. And when you look at the code, then you put that in, let's say apple is 205. I only know it because I really like apples this time of the year. And I use it because they're all different shapes and sizes this time of the year. So you put the apple on and it pops back. This is how much fiber it has. This is how much carbohydrate in this portion that you're going to eat. And if you are the precision kind of person, then maybe that's what makes the big difference for you.
Yeah.
And if it does, it could be a huge benefit for you. Again, I mean, I don't use it for things that might, like beans that come in a container that I can look at. I know what a half cup looks like. I mean, I've been doing this long enough that if I don't know what a half cup looks like,
right. You think you're in trouble at this point?
I'm in trouble at this point.
Well, okay. So I think the takeaway here is that different people are going to respond well to different ideas, but that's keeping track of something somehow is a good idea. Even look, as I joke, I don't keep track of anything. Arden left for college. The last thing I did was open up her Loop app and screenshotted every page of her settings. and
Right.
I airdropped them to myself. And
Right.
we got there and we made changes and I did them again. And over the last couple of weeks, as she's settling into school, I referred back to them a number of times. So
Right. And in the beginning, I think the good thing about some tracking, especially if you do have a honeymoon period, the good thing about tracking early is that you'll start to see those differences that cue you in to say, this wasn't just a bad day, right?
yeah,
This was 2 days or 3 days of much more sensitivity or much less sensitivity. And so, then something needs to be adjusted in terms of your doses, probably.
hmm
And you can go forward in a much more precise manner rather than the randomness that creates more of the roller coaster up and down.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad we
So,
talked about this then. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
thank you.
Okay, let's see. What is next? So that was journaling. I honestly can't read my own writing. It's embarrassing.
There was a physician when I was doing my clinical internship, which I had done at a hospital where I was already working.
hmm
And so I knew the doctor, but he had like literally, I would call it chicken scratch. It looks like somebody put ink on chickens' like feet and they just danced around on the page. And we got to the point of realizing some words looked the same. And then you could end up figuring out that the chicken scratch was like or the chicken scratch was like, because it looked the same note to note. So then you could figure out what he had actually written. But man, yeah.
Almost impossible. Now, I swear, I looked down at my own writing and I was like, it feels like someone else wrote it. I have something in front of me right now. Oh, I know what it is. I was speaking to someone from Australia yesterday, and she said, "we in a potty." And I wanted to remember to bring it up later because she was talking about peeing on sticks to get her blood sugar when she was younger because she had diabetes a long time, right? But as I look down at it now, it looks like it says Lee
and Patty, maybe.
Unpult like I I don't know what it's I don't know what it could say Q like CUE. It could say definitely not we because the first loop of the W goes down, comes up, and then goes right into the E, and then there's another E. The two E's don't even look the same. You can't even tell the second E and the first E are the same letter.
I hope you never wrote like nice letters to your wife when you guys were dating because she was probably like, I don't know what the guy's
talking about. No.
I hope he telling that he likes me, but I really don't know.
When I fill out a greeting card for Kelly, I sometimes print it out first and then go and I copy it because if I just start writing, I hand it to her and later she goes, "Hey, what does this say?" And then I just read it to her, or I can't read it and I just go, "Well, here was the intent when I started." I don't know. It's terrible. It's really, it's my whole life. My printing has been absolutely horrible. And my cursive is not that anybody writes that way anymore, but it's horrendous. Anyway.
I know they don't even teach it anymore.
There's a lot of things they don't teach anymore that some of it I'm confused by.
Like typing. I'm amazed at the use of iPads in school for young kids. It's the hunt and peck method of finding letters to spell things.
Yeah.
And I told Nathan recently, I was like, we need to get a keyboard to hook up to our home iPad and we need to teach them how to type.
Yeah.
Because or they're going to hunt and peck their entire life.
They'll lose years of their life. Watching a person text who's proficient at it is like, I watch Arden and her thumbs are just like flying. And they don't make mistakes. It's fast. Right. It's fascinating, So I had to teach myself to type to write my book. I did not know how to type. I took typing class. I did it for like a day and I'm like, I'm dropping this. And I dropped it and I left. I couldn't do it. So when I had to write my book, I sat down and first I typed looking and then I would practice not looking. And then as the weeks went on, before I knew it, I could type.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they teach you. It was a mandatory. We had to take it as freshmen in high school. It was a mandatory. I still remember Miss Ottelman. That was her name. And we had word processors. Now
Yes.
I'm like aging myself.
No, that's what we were using too.
We had word processors. A, S, S, S. Like that's what we did for the whole class. By the end, you were like, oh my God.
Kelly had one in college where there was this little matrix LED screen in front of her that maybe held like 15 or 20 characters, and you would type and they would come up in front of you and then they would disappear off to the left. And when you got done, you hit save, and it was on like a floppy disk, if I remember correctly. And then you had to put the floppy disk in and hit print. I mean, you couldn't even go back to see if you made a mistake, or and that was like high quality back then. Think about that the next time you complain.